I was folding his shirts this morning. Found them in a box I hadn't opened since he died. 15 years they've been sitting there. I'm Margaret. I'm 83 years old. The house smells different now than it did when Richard was here. Quieter somehow. Like silence has a scent. If you're younger than me, and most people are, what I'm about to tell you might not make sense yet, but I hope you'll listen anyway. If you're my age, you already know. You felt it too. I spent 46 years thinking my marriage wasn't quite right, wasn't quite enough, and then he died, and I learned something I wish I'd understood sooner. When Richard and I got married, I was 22. He was steady, reliable. My parents approved. My friends said I was lucky to find someone so dependable, but I didn't marry him because my heart raced when he walked into a room. I married him because he showed up, because he was safe, because I couldn't imagine anything else clearly enough to choose it. In the beginning, though, and this is the part I don't talk about much, there was something gentle between us, a quiet sweetness I've almost forgotten. We used to sit at the kitchen table after dinner longer than we needed to, not talking about anything important, just small things, the neighbor's new car, something funny that happened at work, the price of milk going up again. He would reach for my hand when we walked into town, not romantically, just automatically, like it belonged there. I remember laughing with him in bed some nights over nothing at all. Those moments felt ordinary then. I didn't know I should have been paying attention, but life has a way of replacing attention with efficiency. The children came, 5 of them. The bills piled up. Richard started working longer hours. I stopped expecting him home for dinner. He stopped asking about my day. We didn't fight. That was the problem, maybe. We just adjusted. Conversations became logistics. Did you pay the electric bill? What time is the school meeting? We need milk. We still spoke every day. We still shared a bed. We still moved through life as a unit. But somewhere along the way, we stopped being curious about each other. I spent years, decades really, feeling like something was missing, like we'd settled for a version of marriage that worked but didn't quite fit. I would watch other couples sometimes, the ones who still looked at each other across crowded rooms, the ones who touched each other's arms while they talked, the ones who seemed to actually enjoy being together instead of just enduring it. And I would think, that's what I don't have. That's what I missed. I told myself our marriage was fine, functional, that I was being childish to want more. But I also told myself it wasn't quite what I'd hoped for, that maybe I'd chosen wrong, that maybe if I'd waited, if I'd been braver, I might have found something different. I never said any of this out loud, not to Richard, not to anyone. I just carried it quietly, this vague, persistent disappointment that felt ungrateful to name. When Richard got sick, I was 68. He was 74. It started small, fatigue, some weight loss, then tests, then words like advanced and palliative and months, not years. The structure of our life fell away almost immediately. Schedules didn't matter anymore. Errands could wait. Routines meant nothing in hospital rooms and quiet afternoons at home. And something shifted. Richard started looking at me differently, not urgently, not fearfully, just directly, in a way he hadn't in years, like the noise had cleared and he could finally see who had been beside him all along. We spoke more in those final months than we had in the previous decade. Not dramatic confessions, not apologies, just small, honest memories. Remember when the baby wouldn't stop crying and we took turns walking him around the block at 3 a.m? Remember that terrible apartment we had when we were first married? The one with the radiator that banged? Remember when you stood up to me about keeping Sarah in school? I was wrong about that. You were right. These weren't grand reconciliations. They were just acknowledgments, small threads being tied off. One evening, while I was adjusting his blanket, he said something I'll never forget. He said, "We did all right, didn't we?" It wasn't a question about success. It was a question about us. I paused. I wanted to say something profound, something healing. Instead, I said, "We stayed." He nodded, like that was exactly what he meant. After he died, I expected relief. I'd spent so many years feeling trapped by the limitations of our marriage that I thought freedom would feel like air. And there was relief for a while. I could eat dinner whenever I wanted, leave dishes in the sink, sit in silence without it meaning something was wrong. But the relief didn't last. What came after was something I didn't expect. Grief. Real grief, not just for losing him, but for not appreciating what we had while he was here. Because here's what I finally understood, too late. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was real. We loved each other in the only ways we knew how, and neither of us had the language to ask for more without feeling ungrateful. That's not a tragedy. That's just the truth of what happens when two people try their best with limited tools. I spent years focusing on what was missing, the passion, the deep conversations, the feeling of being truly known, but I missed what was there. Richard showed up. Every single day for 46 years he showed up. He fixed things when they broke. He brought home his paycheck. He never raised his voice at the children, even when they deserved it. When I was overwhelmed, he would quietly take the kids for a walk so I could have an hour of silence. When my father died and I couldn't stop crying, he sat with me, didn't try to fix it, just sat there. These weren't grand gestures. They were small, steady acts of commitment, and I took them for granted because I was too busy comparing our marriage to some imagined version that I thought other people had. I wish I'd told him I noticed, that I appreciated it, that even though we didn't have the kind of love people write songs about, we had something solid, something true. I wish I'd reached for his hand more often, asked him real questions, told him when I was proud of him. I wish I'd said thank you for staying, but I didn't, and now I can't. The house is so quiet without him, not peaceful, just empty. I catch myself sometimes about to tell him something. Then I remember. I find his reading glasses, his old jacket in the closet, his handwriting on a grocery list from years ago, and I realize I miss him, not the version of him I wished he'd been, the actual him, the man who hummed while he did dishes, who fell asleep in his chair every evening, who called me Marge even though I asked him not to. I spent 46 years thinking we weren't quite right for each other. Now I think maybe we were exactly right. We just didn't know how to see it. Marriage isn't about finding someone who completes you or understands you perfectly or makes every day feel magical. It's about showing up, staying, trying. And we did that, both of us, even when it was hard, even when it was boring, even when we didn't know what we were doing. That mattered more than I realized. If you're married right now or in a long relationship and it feels imperfect, let me tell you something. It's supposed to feel imperfect. You're two different people trying to build one life. That's messy. It's supposed to be. But imperfect doesn't mean wrong. Don't make my mistake. Don't spend so much time looking at what's missing that you miss what's there. Notice when your partner does small things, when they remember you like your coffee a certain way, when they let you have the last piece of something, when they don't make you explain why you're upset. Say thank you out loud, even for the small things, especially for the small things. Ask questions you think you already know the answers to. People change. You might be surprised. Touch them. A hand on their shoulder. Fingers brushed across their back as you pass. Don't wait for special occasions. And if there's something you wish was different, say it kindly, honestly. Don't assume it's too late or too small to matter, because one day one of you won't be here anymore, and you'll wish you had more time, not to fix everything, just to appreciate what you had while you had it. I'm grateful now, deeply grateful. Not that my marriage was perfect, it wasn't, but that I had someone who stayed, who tried, who built a life with me, even when neither of us knew exactly what we were doing. I wish I'd felt that gratitude while he was still here to hear it. If you're taking what I'm saying seriously, and I hope you are, then do something for me. Do something I didn't do. If there's someone in your life right now, a partner, a spouse, don't wait to tell them what they mean to you. Not tomorrow. Not when things are less busy. Now, today, go find them. Look at them, really look at them, and say something true. Thank them for one specific thing they did recently. Tell them you notice. Tell them it matters, or just say, I'm glad you're here. It doesn't have to be profound. It just has to be said. Because if you don't do it now, you'll forget. Life will get busy again, and one day it'll be too late. Don't carry my regret. You don't have to. You still have time. Thank you for listening to an old woman remember out loud. If this meant something to you, I'll be here for a while yet. You can come sit with me again. Take care of the people you love while you still can.